Welcome back to the Ross Bolin podcast presented by Bolin Media. I am Ross Bolin, and today I am joined by one of the founders of Washed Media, one of the co-hosts of the Circling Back podcast, one of the hosts of the Too Much Dip sports podcast, one of the funniest people on the internet, in my opinion, Mr. David Ruff. Dave, how are you? How's it going, Dave?
How about this humidity we're having? Huh?
Oh, it's a lot.
Have you noticed the mornings have been tough because, there's like this smoke from Central America from the farmers like doing their burns?
Oh, I'm not familiar, no.
It's like, anyway, I wake up every morning, it feels like my head's exploding. I put my face in a bowl of ice this morning. It's a true story. My wife was like, why are you doing that? I was like, I got to do something.
That helps you wake up?
Yeah. It's the best part of waking up.
Gets the blood going?
It gets me going.
That's your version of one of these, ice baths that people put themselves in?
I'm basically from the neck up the Liver King, basically. That's my thing.
Have you ever done one of those, the cold tub?
I have.
What's that? How brutal is it?
It's actually not that bad if you go into it prepared. Like if you watch enough of the obnoxious influencers who tell you how to do it, like breathing and stuff. Once you get like 10 seconds in and like you get your breath going, it's fine.
Okay.
And you do feel really good afterward, but I don't really know. I'm still me. It didn't help me. It didn't change me.
It didn't change you?
No, look at me.
Damn.
This is still what I look like.
Well, I think you're great.
Thank you.
I think you're great.
I still feel decent.
I needed to get another over 35-year-old white podcaster in the booth with me today to discuss the Kendrick Lamar versus Drake beef, and you're maybe the only hip-hop competent over 35-year-old white dad I know aside from myself. So here we are.
Thank you.
You and I used to battle each other blackout drunk on our fraternity's back porch in college.
It was like one time.
Yeah, but we did do it.
We did do it. That is true.
It was tight.
It was fun. Good thing I'm glad there were no cameras because I would hate to see probably a popped collar. Just embarrassing.
That was pre-social media taking over the world. Thank God.
Yeah.
Because somebody would have had an iPhone out filming that thing for Snapchat or something.
That would have been embarrassing.
And we would have felt bad about that the next day.
It wouldn't have been good.
Yeah.
The kids would call it cringe.
They would. So you followed this thing.
I did.
Now let me ask you this: before this beef exploded over the past few weeks, month, whatever, where were you at in terms of being like a Drake fan or a Kendrick Lamar fan in general?
Well, I would be lying if I said I wasn't a fan of some of Drake's music.
Yeah, harder to admit today than it was 2 months ago, though.
Well, even 2 months ago, I feel like he's someone that like I feel like a lot of people have this take with like Taylor Swift, where they don't really the cult of Taylor Swift. They're not really in on that, but they have to acknowledge like, dude, she's got some heat, right?
Yeah,
there's some bangers. Drake's like that with me, especially on some of his more like melodic stuff. Some of the older stuff. I happened to see him at ACL in like. That was like my first year when you and I started working together. You were there. I remember that. It was a fun show. Anyway,
I have no recollection, but I'm sure it was fun.
You were having a time. I was too, for that matter. But anyway, I tend to be more of a Kendrick fan as far as like when I would rather him drop new music because I like that style of hip hop more.
Right.
But I think Drake stuff, it's like there's times like it's more party music, right? But if I'm driving to work or something, I'm more of a Kendrick guy, but I'm not like a super fan of either.
Yeah, fair. And that's basically where I'm at. I've had Drake is always in like my top 5 Spotify Wrapped, and I feel a whole bunch of shame around that. I'm like, God, I'm so lame and basic.
Yeah, that's how you kind of feel with him. Right?
And that's the general vibe that I give him. Now, I would never have considered myself to be a full-on Drake hater. There have definitely been moments where I'm like, this dude rubs me the wrong way. There's something really lame about him that I can't quite put my finger on. And the more success you have, the easier it is to hate on you. And he's always been super mockable. Like, you remember before this past several years where he really smoothed out his identity to a place where, like, people were just more respectful of him, he was getting memed to death back in the day. Like, people love to make fun of Drake.
Yeah. Hotline Bling era Drake was very memeable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Some great memes, and not all of them are that embarrassing for him. It's just like they're good memes.
Well, and they were feeding the success too. Like the Hotline Bling memes are a perfect example because, like, look, everyone was listening to that song.
Yeah,
that shit was everywhere.
So that's kind of where I kind of had. So I dug that song, but at the same time, that's kind of where some stuff about Drake not necessarily being great to other artists came out. Because do you know Dram?
Yeah.
So I knew a little bit about him, but like that whole, I don't know if it was the beat or the style. He was getting accused of like stealing that,
like
from
hijacking
Dram.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, damn, that sucks, because Dram seems like he's not a big artist, but like he was an up and coming artist, it seemed like, and seemed like a good dude. So that was kind of the first time I was like, oh, what's he doing? I'm actually a huge Pusha T guy. So when that came about, and that had been building for a while, right?
Yeah.
I was all in on that.
Yeah.
And then that was one-sided.
Me too.
There was really no response, right? So
what can you say? Hey, man,
you got
a secret child with a porn star. It's like, oh,
correct.
Fuck.
That is true.
And still, in hindsight, like this brought all that back up again, obviously, which we'll get into a little more. But like, what a fucking hilarious thing to have happen. Because
Bizarre.
The last several years, Adonis is a huge part of Drake's brand. He's putting him on social media all the time. Him playing basketball and shit. He's got him on his fucking album For All the Dogs. Adonis gets a verse off. He released a single.
Yeah, it was a pretty career altering moment. I mean, it did hurt him, but he has like had to change how he goes about his business, right? Because of that moment.
In a huge way. And like, okay, so to get back to my point, I stood in pretty much the same spot you did. I was like, all right, Kendrick Lamar is an artist. And admittedly, as a white dude, a lot of the art he makes, not necessarily for me. Right. Doesn't mean I can't enjoy it, but I'm not the target audience necessarily on a lot of this shit.
Because that's like a big part of this beef too, is that there is some stuff like, it's like, hey, I'm not going to comment on that because I'm a 39-year-old white guy.
Oh, dude. And you could see even on Twitter, like, black Twitter was getting really annoyed with white Twitter trying to chime in on all this.
Yeah.
Like, I kept seeing different, content creators and influencers that are white trying to throw their takes out there and just getting obliterated. In fairness, this was a perfect example of like everyone wanted to get in on this. Everyone wanted to have comment. We're doing it today for this very reason. Because also just because I desperately need someone to talk to about it. My wife doesn't care at all.
Mine neither.
But like you could see everybody trying to get in on it. And then, people to whom this really matters having to be like, shut the fuck up and let us have this. Like we know what we're talking about here. You guys are morons and you're just hopping in and bandwagoning. And I appreciated that to a certain degree, that like people were openly telling other people like, yo, this is not your spot to
Especially
speak.
when it comes to like some of the themes of
the racial
of the beef.
stuff.
It's
yeah.
like, why would you ever comment on that as a white dude?
Even though we're gonna do it today. But yeah, it was something. I mean, look, you brought up the one example with Hotline Bling and Dram of like him being accused of hijacking that dude's song or sound or whatever it was. That has happened a lot with Drake, where he goes and finds these up and coming young artists like I Love Mackinnon or whatever that dude's name is. I can't remember exactly. Was another one where he finds somebody that has an original new sound and he goes and piggybacks that shit and then kind of hijacks it. And from a business like strategy perspective, it's genius and it works. And it's one of the reasons he's had the longevity and the success that he's had. But from like a respect of like the hip hop community perspective, it's not great. It's not a good look.
Right.
And that's built and built and built and built and built till this moment.
And I like to think that I follow the important people in the like the hip hop media in that community. And I kind of go with what they say, and I'm like, oh yeah, that does check out. And that's been a big source of controversy for a while.
Yeah. The dude I didn't know much about before this thing exploded was Academics, who's very clearly like
also memeable,
a Drake guy and very memeable. He's having a hard time admitting that this didn't go the way he wanted it to, which is a lot of people, a lot of Drake fans are like, no, he won. It's like, dude, come on, objectively, like if you're looking at it from a non-biased standpoint, he got his ass whooped here. This was a beating. This isn't his forte. And frankly, I don't understand why a dude who already got washed in one rap battle beef situation because Pusha T called him out for having a secret child, I don't know why you would re-enter that space ever again.
Yeah.
Because there's already too much out there about you to be used against you.
I think he had to, but I wonder if he thought it was going to go the way it went as far as like the accusations.
Oh, yeah.
Because
he says he knew that it was going to go that way, which again brings me back to the question of like, then why would you start this shit?
From like, and I know I'm bouncing around, but like from like a strategy perspective, it's like, oh yeah, well, so like let's just say like let's hone in on like Kendrick like said, well, you got a daughter, you've got a what 11-year-old daughter you've been hiding,
Yeah.
and then Drake waits, and he's like, no, actually we fed you that. Somebody in my camp, your mole, that was a double agent. No, like from a strategy point of view, that seems really bizarre.
It's that there's just no way that's the way that unfolded.
No,
Like,
no.
and if it was, he did a terrible job of being like, gotcha,
Yeah,
because nobody has bought it
no.
and nobody cares.
And
at
frankly,
this point.
like that whole part of the like that doesn't really matter to me.
Oh, I was
It's funny.
almost unconcerned with that whole verse after the fact because it's like the other shit is way more brutal.
When Family Matters dropped, I think it was late Saturday night, I was like, "Oh shit, Drake, okay, like,
Fired back.
This is good for him. This sounded pretty good."
It's a fight again.
Yeah, and then within 30 minutes,
Yeah, it's like 15 minutes later.
yeah,
Completely
you get that,
buried it.
and that was like very. The name is escaping me.
Meet
It's
the
hard.
Grams.
Meet the Grams was a little dark.
Dude.
A little dark, and I remember listening to it and kind of feeling a little weird. It was late Saturday for me, and I don't know what. I was just like, "Damn, okay." And then,
I was so hyped in my bedroom, just like wanted to, like, honey, you're not going to believe this.
I know I had no one to talk, and I was like, do I tweet something about this?
Kendrick
Whatever.
dropped again, dude.
I looked at Twitter for like an hour,
Yeah.
just seeing other people's.
I had to. It took so much restraint and self-control to not tweet more than I did about this.
Yeah.
Just knowing like I'm going to sound like an idiot.
So just from a strategy perspective, to drop it on him, on top of that, okay, he completely neutralized whatever Family Matters did, and then when you get Not Like Us,
It was over.
it's like the number one, like all over the place, like possibly Kendrick's like. This may be his biggest song ever.
Yeah,
it's definitely like his
is.
biggest club song
Dude,
ever, right?
Here's some from Forbes. Not Like Us, the track released by Lamar on Saturday night that included claims Drake had a history of pursuing relationships with underage women and called him and acquaintances certified pedophiles, broke Spotify's single-day streaming record for a hip-hop song ever, with 6.59 million listens. Not Like Us overtook a Drake song to earn the Spotify streaming title. Drake's 2021 song, Girls Want Girls, which is not a diss track from the pair's ongoing feud, was the previous record holder, which featured Lil Baby, I believe. So
That's pretty wild.
not only is it the biggest hip-hop song, single streaming record ever, is breaking a Drake record to get there, which is just like a double slap in the face.
Yeah.
It's craziness.
So like the last comparable beef of like hip hop artists of this stature, I guess I'm not gonna say it was 50 and Ja, because I don't think Ja, you know what I mean? Like that wasn't much of a.
Dude,
that
was the closest thing to this we've ever had.
Jay-Z and Nas.
Yeah, but that was like, so their beef, this is the difference. Their beef was stretched out over months and months and months and months.
This
So
was
it
a
like
week.
7 months later, like Nas dropped Ether.
Yeah.
So like nobody was on the internet and on Twitter and on Instagram being like, it's been 2 days. Oh, it's been 3 days. Better drop, Nas.
Well, it wasn't around
gotta
then.
come. It didn't exist.
It was like 2002.
Totally different media space, right? So like,
Yeah.
in that way, it's not comparable. 50 Cent and Ja Rule was really, really fun just because it created so many different tracks came out.
Yeah.
Like, it was like 10 songs, man. They just kept going. They made like that Hail Mary version. They brought different people. Busta Rhymes got dragged in. Eminem was in on
Joe
it.
getting in there at the end.
Yeah, it was crazy. Kind of like this, where there was a one-on-one situation, but then there was a whole bunch of like A-list side action that was occurring.
Yeah, it's interesting. Has anybody in the Drake camp, like 21s or people that were, has anybody chimed in on him on
No,
his
man,
side.
that's one of the things that makes it kind of brutal.
You kind of wonder like what behind the scenes like what he's done to burn all these bridges, because like I didn't think when Future dropped Like That, right, when that whole thing came out, I was like, what happened here?
Yeah.
Like I thought those two were like connected.
They did a whole album together.
Yeah, and it seemed like Future never really involves himself in these kind of things. But
Yeah, he's too busy fucking bitches.
that's right. That seems like that's his main prerogative.
That's what he does.
But yes, I don't know, man. It was it's been a wild 2 weeks with that.
Yeah, so Drake accuses Kendrick of beating his wife, basically being an abusive abuser. He also
Abusive abuser. One of those.
He said his manager, a man named Dave Free, got Kendrick's wife pregnant and had one of those kids. He says is Dave Freeze, which I think is not true.
That's one of the things I saw actual pushback on. People being like, "Why'd you bring him?" Like, he seems to be. I don't know anything about Dave Free. You're gonna be shocked to learn that. He seems to be like a really well liked, well respected guy in the hip hop community, and like people are like, well, "Why'd you do that?"
Yeah.
No one believes this, and he's just a nice dude. Leave him out of it.
Also accused Kendrick of being short
Okay,
and having small feet,
kind of okay, yeah.
which was,
It's funny,
but also like Wayne is short.
very
You know,
short, and you have him
and that's-
tattooed on your arm.
Yeah, so I don't know if you can like go with the height angle, but to be frank, look, this is one of the issues with this thing that I don't understand why Drake thought he could get away with any of this, because Kendrick doesn't live a celebrity life in the spotlight.
Right.
He intentionally keeps his shit close to the chest so that there isn't a bunch of stuff out there about him. So you were going to have to make shit up if you wanted to get under his skin. And at the beginning of this thing, the first couple of songs, like Kendrick pretty clearly said, let's not make this personal.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that angle.
You gotta
But
leave
Drake,
the family out of it.
Drake just kept coming. And then after Family Matters, it was like, okay, fuck you, it's over. Now I'm going to make it about everything.
Yeah.
And so Kendrick accuses Drake of being a culture vulture, using his dad to promote his own blackness, being a pedophile, grooming young girls, having pedophiles in his crew and on his payroll, making music lacking in substance, and then finally, hiding an 11-year-old daughter.
Has any of the pedophilia stuff with his like crew, has any of that come out? Like,
Has like any of it checked out?
Yeah, because that's a pretty specific. The Drake stuff, we'll get to that in a minute. But has that?
I think
come to
there's
light?
at least one guy that he references directly named Baca, who
Okay.
has some kind of weird case with an underage situation, but
Okay.
that's not something I'm confident in saying. So
The weirdest thing was in Drake's response. I guess it was like Sunday morning. He brought up Millie. What's her name?
Millie Bobby
Millie
Brown,
Bobby Brown.
totally unnecessarily.
And this has been said 1,000 times, but like, well, no one's mentioned that. Why did you just kind of put that out there? Because he knows everybody's thinking it.
Dude,
I
because at
guess.
that point, I think he had gotten beaten so badly that he's online,
Yeah.
taking in all the memes, looking at all the tweets, and as people have pointed out, it was almost like that last song, which was what, The Heart Part 6?
Yeah.
That was almost him responding to the internet more than it was to Kendrick directly.
Somebody on Twitter hilariously, and I don't know who to credit, called it like a community notes.
Yeah,
Community
yeah,
notes
yeah, I
song.
saw that. Yeah,
Like, yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was just directly addressing everything, and then kind of like, all right, I'm out.
I mean, he had to say directly that he wasn't a pedophile like 6 times in that song, which
Yeah.
that's just kind of a sign that
He's got sponsors to keep up with, I guess.
it's probably over at that point. Now, yesterday it came out that Universal Music Group was trying to, like, their label. These guys are both owned by the same label, basically.
Mediation.
They're trying to come in and say, like, y'all have to stop this. We're losing money. We're gonna lose sponsors. We're gonna lose opportunity. Drake he's like their cash cow, obviously.
Yeah.
And Kendrick was like, fuck you, no. They wanted him to apologize, is the rumor. They wanted Kendrick to come out and say, like, Drake is not a pedophile,
That's not happening, right?
which is never, ever, ever, ever going to happen.
It is kind of, yeah. That is such a it's funny hearing people just run with that. Like, it's a very serious accusation.
It's bad.
And
but
like,
there's always been these little weird things with Drake, though, that have led. This was an online rumor long before these songs dropped.
yeah.
because that Millie Bobby Brown interview where she's like, she's on the red carpet for some event, and they're like, tell us about your relationship with Drake, and she's like, oh, she's 16 at the time or 14, and she's like, oh, he's great. We were just texting like before this. He tells me like how much he loves me and how much I love him, and like he helps me with boys. And Drake was like 30 at the time. Like, bro, you know, as a grown man, you cannot text minors about their relationships with boys and shit. That's fucking weird.
Especially
at the
when
very least.
You're a top 2 star on the planet.
At the very least, it's very weird,
it's
right?
It's very bizarre to think you can just do that.
Doesn't mean he's a pedophile, but it does mean he's
that's where the grooming stuff comes into play,
weird
right?
dude, yes.
That's
weird dude. Really opening yourself up to grooming accusations there. And literally from that moment on, that was years and years and years ago, almost a decade. From that moment on, there have been weird rumors about Drake.
Yeah.
And then he's done other shit that has made it worse. Like some of it was not like, it wasn't a matter of legality.
Right.
He was doing like the Leonardo DiCaprio thing, taking like 18-year-old models out to dinner and shit and letting them put pictures of him on social media. And people were like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah, and it's just a really weird response to it. That whole thing felt weird, and it's honestly kind of surprising that like the people in the studio with him like really let him put that out.
The last one, I don't think it was anybody in the studio.
The last one is just like,
he sounds so sad.
It's so bizarre.
He sounds so sad. He basically was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And the vibe changed from like that couple weeks where Kendrick wasn't dropping anything, it looked like he was going to refuse to respond and that this might just die on the vine.
Yeah.
And Drake was like, drop, pressuring him like, let's go. You can't run away from it this time. We're doing this. The vibe shift from that to the Heart Part 6 where he's like, please stop. Please stop. I don't want to play anymore. This is not fun for me. Please stop saying I'm a pedophile over and over.
What'd you think about Euphoria when he finally did?
I thought it was solid.
I liked it. I think I liked it more than at least people I follow because that kind of stuff. I don't need if I'm invested in a battle. I'm not of the mindset that it has to be like a number one like club banger. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
definitely not.
I like the beat switches. I like that I like that it's weird. I do like that element to it, right? And I also like that I have to listen to it 17 times to even like understand.
It was very layered
because it's so layered. And there's even check out the Dissect pod, who breaks this. Just Euphoria down like line by line, and it is so deep. And some of it you're like, okay, that's a reach, and he'll acknowledge that. But some of it's like, damn, that's insane writing.
Dude,
and that's why I'm a Kendrick guy.
That was the big difference.
That's it.
All the Drake shit was surface level.
It doesn't mean that at all.
It just there's levels to it, and Kendrick is much better at that. Like he's a much better artist and writer. Just objectively.
I'm not going to do it justice, but there's a line. So in Drake's not Family Matters, but the one before, where Drake samples Academics on a stream, and it's the same. He samples it, and it's the same stream that Academics listened to Certified Lover Boy on, and he fell asleep.
Oh.
So there's a line that Kendrick has, and it's like in like the first or second part. Like I don't know. It just blew my mind that connection was made, and I'm like, oh my god, that's not an accident.
He wove
insane.
one hell of a web.
We're missing like the third 13-year-old kid with a backward hat as we discuss this rap beef right now.
No, we're
that meme right now.
We definitely are.
I love it though, man.
Dude,
I haven't had a chance to talk about this with anybody.
It was. I figured that was like, look, Kade, who does the show with me usually, he's a big Drake fan, and we were talking about this some last week, and I could tell he was getting heated. And I'm
on
like,
the pod?
Yeah, on Patreon, and I was like, oh, I can't talk to you about that. We have a 10-year age gap. Right?
Yeah.
And then he's a huge Drake guy, which is like, like I've admitted to. I listen to a lot of Drake. I've listened to a lot of Drake for like 15 years, man. He's had a ton of hits that I loved. I remember being a sad boy in college at one point and banging Marvin's Room like on fucking repeat to make myself feel better. Like I'm not outside of admitting to my own douchiness, but I've never been like, Drake is my GOAT. That's never been anywhere near like, right? If there was an artist from the modern age of rap that I had to pick, it would have been Kendrick. So, like, I definitely kind of had my side picked already when this started.
You're going to do Kanye like that?
Well, at this point,
Yeah, I know.
You have
But
to.
there was a time.
My $25 Yeezy Pods shipped today. The scuba socks.
Okay.
I ordered them February 16th. And
good.
I got an email today. They shipped. It's almost 3 months later. So
It's huge for you.
no, I'm really excited about that. But
Can't
no,
wait to see those.
it's not Kanye for me anymore. I can't vibe with it anymore. But
It's kind of sad how he's kind of tried to insert himself in a little bit,
no one cared.
and like nobody cared. I'm just like, damn,
Tried to insert himself a little bit.
a lot.
A lot. I watched that interview with Justin LeBoy, and honestly,
I couldn't finish it.
it was the most sad I have felt in a while.
Yeah.
Like in my soul. I was like, this fucking guy. I hate that fucking guy, Justin LeBoy. That dude sucks so hard.
I don't know anything about him.
He just kept going, wow.
That's a good bit.
It wasn't great.
And damn, you and Kade were having this conversation before Not Like Us came out.
Before it got really bad, yeah.
I mean, that's like not only is it like a good diss record, but
It's a hit, dude.
it's a fucking hit. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know Kendrick had that. It's on like that dope ass mustard beat, that West Coast shit. And like
This mustard guy
half my-
hates Drake too?
half of my timeline is just people fucking sea-walking to this video. And then you got Metro doing the BBL Drizzy.
Genius.
It really is.
Genius.
It's unbelievable.
And that was like almost, it's like in UFC when you see a dude get knocked out on his feet and he falls down on his back and then the other guy jumps on top of him and just lands a couple more haymakers to the
Yeah.
face. That's where we're at now. And dude, the fucking Metro Boomin thing, he told the man to shut up and go make some drums.
Which was funny. Which is a good line from Drake.
And then Metro flipped it and made some drums,
Yeah.
gave it out for free. It's a hilarious beat. BBL Drizzy turned it into a contest.
Dude.
Now he's giving away like $10,000 and
launching-
another beat.
He's launching SoundCloud rappers' careers.
Yes, out of
It's like
control.
a great move.
You got people in like Finland making Drake diss tracks now.
Did you see the guitar solo?
Yes,
What the fuck?
it's completely out of control.
So good. And then we haven't even addressed this. This is where it's just unfair. Then you got Rick Ross, who like all he has to do is just comment into the camera, and it's the funniest shit you've ever seen.
He's so entertaining, dude.
He's so entertaining.
He's using all this to promote the Rick Ross car show.
It's so good. It's so good.
And whatever that weird like champagne he sells, I guess, called like Belvard or something. I don't know. I don't drink anymore, but
I don't know.
and he's part of the beef at the beginning before Kendrick tapped in was like Drake and Rick Ross hating on each other's, $20 million homes
Yeah, and planes as well.
and airplanes. Yeah.
He was calling it Drake's cargo plane.
Yeah, he's telling him not to get on it. It's not safe. It wasn't made for people. That was great. Then Rick Ross's plane crashed
Emergency
in
landing.
the middle of all this. It's been nonstop content, dude.
It's really been like the most wild 2-3 weeks.
Insanely
in music
entertaining.
that I can remember.
Like this has to get made into like a 1-part documentary covering all of it. I will watch the shit out of
I
that.
will watch it too.
There's nothing like the Drake and Meek Mill stuff made some good content for sure. But
Back to back, dude. Like
it was unbelievable.
Back to Back's one of the best diss songs.
Kendrick even gives him credit for that.
It's a great
It's like,
song.
Back to back. I like that record.
That dropped right before he did ACL, and when he did that at ACL, I was like, "Oh shit, okay."
Oh, people lost their
It was
minds.
so great.
Unbelievable. But
I hope it's done. I hope this beef's done.
There's no
I don't
way
want
it
any
can
more
continue.
music. I don't want any more music.
It needs to stop now before it gets to a point where it's no longer enjoyable. This was, without a doubt, like you said, a couple weeks, most entertaining 2 weeks in rap in a really, really long time. Super, super fun. And probably all around good for the game. When it's all said and done.
I think, but then you're still like a domestic violence / pedophilia allegations getting thrown around. And it's just like, okay, like I know we live in a world now where like in politics, like that gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
It's just weird to hear like a great club song alluding to that. You know what I mean?
Not even alluding, just straight up
Yeah, just
saying
saying
it over and over.
A minor.
That's
Come on, man.
unbelievable.
Come on, dude.
That shit's going to be going all summer.
It's fucking catchy, man.
It's a great. I really do wonder from like a legality standpoint if he will have to put out a version of Not Like Us
Yeah.
that is free of pedophilia claims at some point. Because like, on one hand, if you're Drake, you can't really sue now.
Didn't he release all the copyright on that?
Yeah,
So like,
but so that creators can play it and
so
like
you could
talk.
just play it right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Which that's a genius move too.
Was a genius move.
Because like the beats, it gets in your head, man.
There's a lot of Kendrick lines. That's the thing. I'm not replaying any of these Drake songs, man. Like, I'm not replaying Push Ups, Tailor Made Freestyle, Family Matters, Buried Alive interlude that little, it was only on Instagram that he put out, the Heart Part 6.
I'm not even talking about the AI Pac.
Oh, that shit. I thought that was creative, but I had a feeling he might get roasted for that.
He did. Well, obviously he did, but like it didn't age well. I remember thinking like this is weird, but I almost thought I did think it was kind of funny at the time.
He was goading him to respond, goading him on.
I thought Drake was supposed to be like the funnier guy. I kind of expected it to be like, but Kendrick's been really funny in this too.
But there's just not that much to make fun of with Kendrick, other than that he's short and has small feet.
Yeah.
There's just not that much.
Somebody pointed out that like it is weird that Drake knew Kendrick's exact shoe size.
Apparently he was 2 sizes off. He has like a 9 instead of a 7 or something.
Oh, really?
Which is not that.
Shout out to all my 9s out there.
It's not that small. It's not that small of a foot. But yeah, I guess the other thing Drake threw out there was like, you're a fake activist, which that's.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just don't believe. I think just based off of his catalog of music alone, you can't claim that. Like most of his music could be considered activism. In one way or another.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's true, but I don't know, man. I just hope we calm it down, move on. Drake will continue to put out hits. His career's not over.
I don't think anybody's stopping that train.
No.
But this was good fun. Another one, like I have to mention a couple other things. One, in the Heart Part 6, Drake says that Kendrick was molested as a child, and that's why he's so focused on the pedophilia thing. And it immediately flagged for me because I listened to the song Mother I Sober a lot. And that's not what he says in the song at all.
That's not what it's about.
He says I believe his cousin and mother both experienced sexual abuse. And they were suspicious that Kendrick had been molested. And he had to repeatedly say, no, I was not. But they didn't believe him. And his mother didn't believe him because of her trauma.
It kind of missed the... Maybe probably willfully
missed the point. And if he was trying to twist it, I get it, but like it just made him look more. It made him look stupid. It made him look kind of stupid, and like he was like grasping at straws. And oh my god, the meme ratio on Twitter and Instagram of like memes making fun of Drake to memes making fun of Kendrick, it's like 500 to 1.
Yeah,
like the content has been so heavily in favor of Kendrick that it's almost been. That's the point where. I got to a point the last couple of days looking at all these memes and cracking up that I was like, I almost feel bad for this dude at this point.
I've had that moment too, and then I realized like nothing's going to change for him.
Yeah, I don't know though. We'll see.
He did have some good on Family Matters. Had some good bars for Rocky ASAP.
Yeah, that was his other mistake though. Is trying to.
Well, he had to go to everybody.
You got to focus, man. There's only one dude really doing damage here. Everybody else is just kind of jokes.
Yeah.
He just kept going to Metro, Rick Ross, which nobody cared about other than, watching the Rick Ross side of it was fun on Instagram, on his fucking stories. But yeah, he got too distracted. Still talking about Rihanna and fucking A$AP Rocky. Nobody cares, man.
Yeah.
There was a clear mission and goal here. It was to take on Kendrick, and it's like he was scared to. Just focus on him.
Kind of run out of material.
He wanted it to be the 20 versus 1 thing, because that he could play with.
Yeah.
But if it was just him and Kendrick, like we've said repeatedly, he just didn't have that much material. Drake's therapist has to be extremely excited about all this, though, because this is months and months of work he's going to have to do here.
Fucking my therapist.
I've got therapy later today. I might bring it up in there.
I'm going to run this conversation back.
Once again, it is Diamond Rock Hard Boner season. Listen up, because this episode is sponsored by Blue Chew, fellow aging men waving bye-bye to your prime. Remember the days when you were always ready to go and could serve solid dong on demand? Now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence when it's bang bang skeet skeet time. Listen up, BlueChew.com. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part, it's all done online, so no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. I've used Blue Chew's tablets several times, and diamond hard boner are the 3 words I would use to describe the results. Not rock hard. This is another level. Diamond status. If you're looking for more confidence, if you're looking to make a lasting impression, if you're in the market for the best sex of your life, Blue Chew could be the answer for you too. Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it. And we've got a special deal for the RBP gang. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code RBP at checkout. Just pay $5 in shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code RBP to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information, and we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the pod. A couple of, any more Drake, Kendrick takes? I feel like we've
I really don't, man. Like,
expended our knowledge
I
here.
really don't. Like, that's. I remember when Ether dropped. I was like a senior in high school, and I remember the buzz. I'm old. I'll be 40 this year. We didn't have any social media. And I just remember the buzz of like people in like my weightlifting class that I had at 8 a.m. or something talking about it. And it was just fun to talk about and just hearing that. And then like, I don't know, this kind of brought that back because I guess for me, there hasn't been a battle like this that I cared about since then. Because I was a huge Jay-Z guy.
Yeah.
Still am. But back then I really was. And like, I was like, Ether's not that good. And then I was like, fuck, Ether's really good.
Yeah, it's still pretty much, it's considered like
It's 1 or 2 or 3.
greatest diss tracks of all time.
And the takeover, you got the takeover from that.
That was a great song.
Takeover's a great song.
That's a great
too.
song.
Anyways, that's it. That's all I had to say about that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, thank you for indulging me.
Oh, we had to.
You had to.
I needed the space as well. I wanted to ask you about a couple other things before we get out of here. One, Tiger's new clothing brand,
Sunday Red.
Sunday Red.
Yeah.
Have you bought any of this?
No, but I probably will. It's grown on me.
It's grown on me too. When they first put out the logo and the name, I was like, wow, they really, really dropped this. Like, this is not good. They really fucked this up.
Seen him at the Masters with the sweater.
Yeah.
And I contend that no golfer has ever looked better in a sweater than the cat, just because he's got a good shoulder.
He's got the shoulders for it,
combo,
man. Oh, yeah.
And it helps that it's him. But seeing him in that sweater, I'm like, I'll probably buy one of those sweaters in the next couple of years.
Yeah. I like the Tiger logo
I do
now.
too. I like the subtleness of it.
It's mostly the name that threw me. Like sun, space, day, space, red. I
Yeah.
was like, why?
Sure.
Why didn't y'all just, it was like, did Sunday Red exist as a trademark copyright already and y'all had to do the spaces? Like, is that the only fucking reason?
I'm very curious about that. But yeah, I am a fan.
Weird rollout though. Definitely underwhelmed me at first, but the more time has passed, I'm like, I don't know. I kind of like this shit. I like
Sure.
I like that little logo, the little fucking, just the line making up the tiger.
You are not alone. I think most people have kind of come around on it.
It looks, I mean, like you said, it really helps that you see him wearing it.
Yeah, even though
Like,
he's like
he's washed up and old,
aged,
yeah.
balding.
Hey, he made the cut.
He made the cut.
Keep that streak alive.
Let's go.
You know?
Looked like he was in pain.
He did look like he was miserable out there. And then the other thing that I haven't read a lot about, and I'm sure you have, RFK having worms.
Oh yeah. So I've only heard about this. I didn't read into it, but I think this comes from like a divorce deposition, like from his second wife, like 15 years ago or something, where he is trying to claim he doesn't have the earning potential that he once had because of a parasitic worm that got into his brain. Which I think all this stuff happened. This isn't like crazy, but it is just like, it's funny because it's him to people.
It's very random.
But it ate part of his brain and died in his brain, the worm, and they had to take it out. And he's claiming that because obviously like his ex-wife was looking for more money. And he's saying, I can't earn as much. I'm not billing as many hours because, he's an attorney because I had part of my brain eaten. And people are having fun with it.
I don't understand why. Yeah, so that sounds like that was in 2010 that this all came out. But now it's everywhere all of a sudden in the past 48 hours again.
Getting close to the election, people are still unsure if if he's gonna take votes from Sleepy Joe or the Orange Man. So they're
Dude, the headlines are unbelievable.
yeah.
RFK Jr. says doctors found a dead worm in his brain. That's from New York Times. Vanity Fair says Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says his brain was partially eaten by a worm that crawled inside and died. Parenthesis or colon, everything you need to know.
Thank you. Well, to his credit, he's handled it pretty well because he's just kind of doubled down on like, yeah, and he's pointing out, he's like, I'm still more competent than these other two guys, these other two old guys.
Even having part of my brain eaten by a worm.
Yeah, which
I mostly just want to know where the worm came from, so I can
Parasite.
avoid. But
eats an undercooked pork or some shit, gets in your system. It's
that's
bad.
all it takes.
Yeah,
Fuck, dude.
it's a bad deal. This is not medical advice. As you guys
Well,
have
you
figured
shouldn't
out in
eat-
the last 30 minutes, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking
We
about.
shouldn't eat undercooked pork, probably.
No.
I think that's fair medical
No.
nutritional advice.
That is
you know?
fair.
Maybe not medical. This one says RFK Jr. in robust health despite brain worm scare.
Well, he lifts weights shirtless in jeans.
Yeah, no, he looks good.
That's how you get my vote. I'm like, which candidate's out there lifting in jeans?
I feel like people used to do that more back in the day, like
That's
just
old school, yeah.
just feats of strength to show, like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm the man.
I don't
You can
need-
vote for me.
I don't need Lulu shorts to get gains, dude. No, you see that occasionally at your gyms now. You'll get like a dude who's like, it's like a dude's been on the road, a truck driver. He pulls in. He's just going to go in and do a couple sets of curls, some bench.
No workout gear.
No workout gear. And then he's just back on the road. I kind of respect that lifestyle.
Fuck yeah, that's huge. Well, that's the only other two things
You
I
want to
had.
talk about the Astros?
Not really. Also, I would note, just in the sake of being fair and middle of the road, we have where is it?
You got Kendrick.
I've got Kendrick behind me. I've got the Drake candle on the table, almost sort of like a funeral vibe coming from that.
It really is.
And then the J. Cole above Dave's head. So we've got a lot of people represented here. Oh, I forgot to fucking mention J. Cole. I'm a huge fan of. I love this guy. I love that he raps about shit that no one else raps about. That's the main reason. He's very good. He's very talented.
You're probably my biggest J. Cole friend.
Yeah. And when he dropped out of this, I was like, this is kind of sad. It made me sad because I was listening to his songs and I couldn't take a lot of his like bars about being a badass seriously anymore. I'm like, damn, dude, you didn't even want to do this little rap beef. The further we got into it, obviously people have completely changed their tone. They're like, J. Cole was right.
Yeah.
That was genius. He needed to get the fuck out of there before it got ugly, and he did. And so I'm happy he got out now.
Did you see the theory? Here we go.
We're back.
This is me just naming someone on Twitter. I'm sorry, I don't remember your handle, but somebody pointed out that that whole thing, first-person shooter. So Kendrick alludes to, not on first-person shooter, but Kendrick has alluded to Drake wanting to get a feature from Kendrick at some point.
Right.
And somebody pointed out that somebody said that was supposed to be on first-person shooter, which would have been Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick, right?
Right.
And so maybe some of the lines from that, the Big Three stuff,
Yeah.
maybe that was like supposed to be more of like a friendly ingest. We're all in the same song, kind of not a diss per se,
Definitely.
but like, something like that. And Kendrick not doing it completely changed like the historical timeline of this entire beef, right? I don't know.
No,
I don't know anything really about J. Cole outside of like, I've got some of his stuff on Spotify, but I've never like deep dove an album.
Dude, he like rides a bicycle around.
He seems like a really good guy.
I think he's the most down-to-earth human being currently living.
It's pretty, and honestly, like, respect for like being real and true to himself and being like, that wasn't me. And I
Yes.
just like, I don't want to do this. And like,
He said it was the lamest thing he's ever done.
yeah, his heart wasn't in it. I respect that. I know people clowned on him, but like,
It
no,
hurt his
you're right.
soul.
Yeah.
And at our age, it's easier to understand somebody saying like that. If this was 20 years ago, I'd be like, "What a douchebag," and using other words like pussy. But now, I was like, "Good for him, staying true to himself."
Yeah.
Good old J. Cole.
Cool, man.
Good for you.
Find yourself.
Don't change up just for the money.
Yeah, man. Kill your ego.
You're a real one. And somehow ayahuasca made its way into this thing.
Fuck yeah.
What the fuck?
My favorite line from Not Like Us is there's a reference to Sweet Chin Music. I'm not passing the aux, and it just made me so happy
That
because
was
Sweet
great.
Chin Music, of course, HBK, Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels,
Oh yeah.
finishing move, really. And I was just like, damn, that's a really good line. That's my one takeaway from the entire beef, that we get a subtle Sweet Chin Music HBK shout out.
Thank you, Dave.
That's it.
Thank you for giving us those specifics.
So when are y'all going to fire this fucking manager?
It's not his fault.
I know. I'm just.
It's just to give you my brief take on the Astros.
I was just messing with
No,
you. We don't
but
to
no,
do
I
it.
have to now. These issues were there last year. Y'all saw it. Like we fell ass backwards in the division championship or whatever.
We choked the division away.
Because y'all kind of fell apart at the end of the season, but then you got momentum when it mattered most and ended up winning the World fucking Series, and it's like, who cares about the stupid fucking division, obviously.
You got the silver boot, though.
Oh, yeah, it's great for us.
You got the boot, brother.
Still got the boots, 7 years running or whatever it is. We're not going to probably have it this year. Anyway, point being, we had a bunch of issues last year that kind of got swept under the rug because we still won the division and we're one game from the World Series. Those issues have reared their ugly head this year in a much more impactful way. Like, our offense is solid. We have like the second best batting average in baseball. With runners in scoring position, we're dog shit. All of our pitchers are hurt. We brought in Josh Hader to be our closer. Turns out he's garbage.
That's been crazy. Because I was really sad when y'all got him, because I wanted him in Texas, even though I knew it was a long shot.
8 blown saves. Not for him, just him, but in our back end of our bullpen, 8 blown saves so far this year.
Well, and so we've got a mutual friend who, I don't know if you follow him on Twitter still, but he will live tweet an Astros game on you. It's our friend's little brother. And
oh no.
And
if you're live tweeting Astros games right now, you're in a bad spot.
And every time I'll log on, I'll see, and he's like, oh, another game over by the third inning. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I go look, I'm like, oh, geez, it's like 5-0 in the third.
Every fucking game, dude. It's
insane.
Fucking game.
It's crazy.
I went to the only good game this year and
Those
got
look like great seats.
Yeah, I got hooked up by a Banging the Can listener. So I was in the Diamond Club behind home plate.
Killer.
It was sick.
Any celeb sightings?
I saw Jim Crane. No Paul Wall.
No Paul
Jim Crane and a bunch of really old white people was for the most part.
I would absolutely embarrass myself if I saw Paul Wall.
Oh, there's no doubt I would have to ask for a photo.
You have to. And he seems like he'll give you a photo.
Paul Wall follows Banging the Can on TikTok. It's probably like him and Bun B are my two my proudest follows.
Oh, Bun B.
Both of them follow Banging the
That's
Can.
huge.
Bun on Instagram, Paul Wall on TikTok. And those are like two of my proudest follows in the history of my career.
Isn't that cool that you got me to talk about this beef and not Bun B?
Bun would never talk to me about that, especially he's like a Drake guy. I wonder what he thinks about all this shit.
Yeah, a lot of people are smartly like, you know what?
That's sad though. If just for the record, if I ever get accused by some other podcaster in a podcast beef of being a pedophile,
sure.
For the love of God, speak up and say something. You've known me for over a decade now.
Yeah, we did have a lot of
I need somebody to say something.
Gold records, a lot of platinum records together.
Nobody's saying anything for this man. It's just sad.
Yeah, what's 21 doing?
I don't know.
That's the one. If he loses 21,
he's like, sorry, man.
I thought him and Rick Ross were like lemon pepper.
They were.
I mean,
they made a ton of songs together. They wrote for each other, and it's at the end of the day, this is friendships ending, and I think we all forget that because we don't want that.
Have you watched the new Cat Williams stand up?
No.
Okay.
Is it good?
I need to watch the whole thing. I went to bed, which probably isn't a good sign, but I'm gonna give it a chance. I owe it to Cat because I'm the only person who's been only person from Grand X who got flamed for liking Cat Williams every day. And now he's having his resurgence, and I've got to ride with him. I'm not jumping off this bandwagon now.
I feel like I need to reanalyze Cat Williams.
Go watch Pimp Chronicles.
Yeah,
you will. I'm telling you, you're gonna be like, okay.
Because there was a point where I fell off hard, and again, a big part of it was probably just this straight up wasn't for me. Like his material was not aimed at like what white dudes from the suburbs, but
that's a great point.
But I feel like he has so much respect from all these comedians. I need to go back and give him another shot. Anyway, Dave, thanks for taking the time today to talk about this rap beef with me. Like I said, we really needed it. Both you and I both needed this.
This felt good, man. It's been a while.
Can you tell people where to follow you and get more content from you?
Check out the Washed Media Podcast Network, Circling Back Podcast, Too Much Dip Podcast. Just at DC Ruff on Instagram, at D Carter Ruff on Twitter.
Give the man a follow.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. See you soon.
Hope we taught y'all something.
Yeah. Let us know what you learned from us on social media.
Bye.
That will do it for today's show, but remember, Kade and I will be back on patreon.com/Ross Bolin podcast with another ad-free premium exclusive episode available only on patreon.com/Ross Bolin podcast tomorrow. Every week we drop an ad-free episode. We take hotline calls from our listeners. We respond to them. All kinds of funny and insane things come up on Patreon. We have a lot of fun there. Hit patreon.com/Ross Bolin podcast now and sign up for a 7-day free trial where you can check out the hundreds of exclusive ad-free episodes we've published there over the last several years. Enjoy that 7-day free trial, then stick around to support our show and be a part of making sure the show can go on. Also, please remember to support our sponsors by hitting the links in the description of this episode and using our dedicated codes. That's how we pay the bills here at Bolin Media. Again, you can find links to all of today's sponsors in the description below. Check out our other shows if you're an F1 fan. Formula Bone, still going strong. YouTube.com/@FormulaBone, @FormulaBone on all the social media platforms. And of course, it's available on the audio platforms as well if you would prefer to listen to it in that form. Jared J-Bone Borislow giving you all the best and latest in the world of F1. Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. We are currently in between shows. We just finished Shogun. If you're watching Shogun, go check out Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, where me and my co-host, Mr. Barrett Dudley, discuss every single episode of Shogun. We're looking forward to the June 16th start of Season 2 of House of the Dragon, and we would ask that we be allowed to be your go-to House of the Dragon companion podcast. Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, available wherever you get your RBP. And if you're a Houston sports fan, check out Banging the Can, my little Houston sports show that I do. Also available wherever you listen to RBP or watch RBP. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at WRBolin. Follow the show on all the social platforms as well. On your favorite social media platform, just search the Ross Bolin podcast and follow us there. This episode of RBP is presented by Bolin Media. Video of today's show was produced by Kade Orris. Go to youtube.com/@the-Ross-Bolin podcast and subscribe. If you're already watching on YouTube, hit subscribe, throw us a like, leave us a comment. We appreciate you. Until next time, remember, you are not alone. Peace be with you, and also with you.